Well, thank you, Connie, for being willing to be here today and to be our storyteller today. You may have, as I mentioned earlier, an insert in your bulletin today. I do encourage you to take it. On one side is the set of questions that we are going to use for story time. The other side of it, you may take notes, but I'm really interested in you paying attention to what it is that God is doing in your own life as you listen to Connie's responses to these questions. Thanks again, Connie, for being willing to do this. So are you a native of Topeka, Kansas?
No, I am not a native.
Okay.
I was born was raised in a little tiny town called Lindsborg, Kansas. I think many people know Lindsborg. And had a wonderful growing up life in that little town. You know, there you have all kinds of parents that are watching you grow up.
Okay. Small town, a lot of people watching.
A lot of people.
Okay.
Very supportive.
Okay. All right. So how did you come to be in Topeka?
Well, long ways around. Lindsborg, then went to school eventually in Kansas City, moved back to Lindsborg. From Lindsborg, moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I lived for about 4 years.
Wow.
And then moved back to Salina, Kansas, which was near Lindsborg. And then from there came to Topeka. So in the first few years of my life, I moved around a lot. But I've been in Topeka for a long time. This is now my home.
All right. What brought you to Topeka?
Well, my husband at that time's job brought him to Topeka.
Okay.
And so
That's
3
right.
children and I, and him, we moved here.
All right. Question 4 says, if you could go out to lunch with someone in history, anyone but Jesus, of course, who would it be? And you and I have talked about this, and you wanted
Yes.
a couple of people in mind. You had a couple of people in mind. So tell us.
The number one would be Maya Angelou. She came to Topeka through Stormont Vale to come and speak to the community. And like I said, Stormont Vale brought her here. But we got to spend a day with her, and the day after, taking her to the airport. So got to know her a little bit. I really got to know her talking with her, but also we were headed into the auditorium downtown where she was to speak. And guess who was there? Fred Phelps and his group were there ready to announce her coming. We had told her about that group just in case, but I was walking with her and she grabbed a hold of me like I have never been held in my life. The fear from that group there being and almost attacking, you know, and I just kept saying, just keep coming, just keep going, look ahead, and we went in. And I don't know, it was just a bond. And so we got to talk later, and we had some wonderful conversations, and I've read many of her books, and so therefore, she's kind of special to me.
So Maya Angelou would be one person you would take out
That's
to
who
lunch.
I'd like to have again.
Who else did you have in mind?
I think that's the only one I really talked about.
Okay. All right.
There's others. There's many others I would
All
like.
right.
But
So Maya Angelou it is. Okay. Wonderful. So we are now on question number 6. Faith story questions. What do you think God has been up to in your life lately?
Okay, let me get my notes out here. Being raised in Lindsborg, you know, you've got this small town where everyone, like I said, parents you. And we were surrounded by music because of the college there, of course. Very musical. And because of that, many people went into music. Well, of course, I started playing the violin at a very young age. And I guess I never really questioned in my deepest sense of what I would become. with the college there, violin, I went into music. And after my beginning of my second year, I began to think, this isn't quite fitting. I love music. I still love music. It's an inner soul of my body. But I was restless. It just wasn't quite fitting. I had a very dear friend whose sister was an instructor at Trinity Lutheran Hospital in Kansas City and was home one time, and I started talking with her. And she said, come and visit. So my mother and I went to Kansas City. We visited Trinity Lutheran Hospital there. I was a Lutheran. There was not a Presbyterian church in Lynchburg, Kansas at the time. 2 Lutheran churches, but no Presbyterian church. And but we went and took the tour, talked with Evelyn. I said, that's where I need to go. And like I said, I love music, but I went and enrolled at Trinity School of Nursing and took off. And never have I ever failed to second guess that. That was a very, very wonderful part of my life. Met wonderful people, and it's just been in my soul.
All right. In what sense do you think you have been in partnership with God to bring about God's good purposes in the world?
Well, I think a God moment for me very lately has been, I turned 86 in January. And I don't know what it is about, but that 86 kind of gives you a wallop. My parents died very young. My mom was 68, my dad was 72. I did not think I was a long liver. And all of a sudden, here I am, 86 years old, and up and about and doing things. And, and I think the reason that I am is because of my family, but it's because of all of you, all of the community. The people that have been there with me, supported me, activities that have been given, the church that has been such an important part of me, being here in Topeka and growing older, and my past. And I'll tell you a few more stories here, but I think that's really, I thought, my goodness, God, you really had something in mind for me here and are with me in all this time of growing older. And knowing that, my life is more at the end than at the beginning.
Yeah.
And you have to take a look at that in a very real and spiritual way.
Right. Speaking of birthdays, we do have a couple of birthdays in the family today. And we can't let that opportunity go by. So Tyler, would you please relocate here for a moment? We do have a birthday. We will name the name of Carol Hines.
Oh, yes.
It's Carol Hines' birthday.
It's also Tehran's birthday today, too.
Is it? It's also Tehran's birthday today. Tehran, happy birthday wherever you are. And it is also Anthony Dallum's birthday today. But Carol is in the house, so let's go ahead and sing.
That was for everyone.
All right. So happy birthday. Okay, let's press on. So we'll go to question 8, which asks you to share with us one conviction of faith something that you know to be true in your own life, and maybe the story behind it, how that came about.
Can we go back to 7 then?
Sure.
Okay.
Go back to 7. Yes.
Well, sitting in the audience and singing "A Mighty Fortress Is Our God" was a request of mine that you asked if I had a favorite.
Yeah.
If you can imagine, when I was a teenager, we had what we called Luther League in our church. It was for the children or kids. And as you got older, they did many, many activities. But one of the things was we would have a convention once a year, and we would go traveling. I'd been to Canada for one of the trips.
Oh, my.
And our choir sang in Calgary, Canada. In Chicago, we were invited. But I will never forget, and it really affects me whenever I can talk about it. We had 3,000 young children, or not children, youth,
With
teenagers.
Middle schoolers, high
Teenagers,
schoolers?
high schoolers. And we had about 3,000 in attendance to that convention.
Wow.
And you know what we did is one of the noons, we went down, and all 1,000 of us, oops, I think I went off, there we go. 3,000, maybe there were a few more maybe than that, went down on Michigan Avenue and sang "A Mighty Fortress Is Our God" all the way down Michigan Avenue. If you can imagine that many teenagers raising their voices and singing, I will never, ever, ever forget that moment. It's one that brings a lot of faith and strength to me. There's another story I have too, and that was, we did "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want."
Yes, I've got it right here.
And I sent that to Kale when he became our minister. And it was on his bulletin board when I went in there.
Yeah.
Thank you. If you come to my house, you'll notice I have sheep everywhere. I think they're unobtrusive, but I have them. My family were sheep herders back in Germany. And my brother lived in Germany for 22 years. And so, of course, I got to go over several times. But one time we were riding around in the countryside, and there was a shepherd out with his sheep. And my brother said, I'm going to jump over the fence and talk with him. And he did, and then motioned me to come out. And my brother could talk very fluent German. But we found out from this shepherd how it really is being a shepherd. He had all these sheep out there, and they were wandering around. And he said, excuse me, but I've got it, this is in German. But he had to start gathering the sheep because they could only go so far, and then he had to gather them in. I experienced that firsthand from a shepherd. That makes a real impression on you of our shepherd watching over us and gathering us in when we get too far. And that's exactly what he was doing. And there that was in real life. Those are two incidents I don't think I'll ever forget. The Lord is my shepherd.
That makes sense. That's why you had the Psalm 23 picked out for us to read.
I've always enjoyed, I love the Psalms anyway, but you know, with the sheep, my family being sheep herders, being able to visit with a sheep herder, you know, really see, that's really the way it's done.
Within a few days of being in Topeka, Kansas, I had a visit with you may recall. And you gave me this card with this sheep on it. And it's been with me since then. It says, "Thanks for coming to Westminster to be our shepherd." So, so I have this on my bulletin board, and still pretty soft on the outside. So yeah, it is, and yeah, it's very meaningful to me to have that, and thank you. Any other stories you want to share along those lines? Conviction of faith, that being part of the Lord's flock, the Lord is your shepherd. That's a conviction of faith for you. The song that you all sang, was there something else you wanted to share along those lines?
For that piece, I think that's,
Okay.
yeah, I'm okay there. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'd like to go back to what my purpose is,
Okay.
if I could.
Yes, please. This is your time.
I think that I could better wrap up and explain this to you. We are, again, the church has been such an important part of my life, and the groups that I belong to, the singing in the choir and Presbyterian women and our study groups. And in our study group right now, we are studying From Sacred Earth, Sacred Soul by John Philip Newell.
Yes.
And and there, I have to read this because this is my thing. I think, again, 86, there's a spiritualness to that. There's always been a spiritualness, but it becomes much deeper as you become older. And I think working with hospice, like I did, is another way of being with people, being with families, but being with those people who are dying. Got a little story before I read that. There was a fellow in our hospice program. I directed the hospice program here years ago when there was no hospice. And we started with nothing. And the community, especially the physicians, were a little concerned about accepting that we could go in and take care of someone that was actually dying and saying that they were dying in that process. But I have lots of stories from there. But one was the nurse came back to say, this man has been with our program for months now. He is skin and bones. He's just not giving up. He's just laying there and struggling and he just won't give it up. He's holding on. And Art Donnelly, who was a Presbyterian minister out in the church out north, was our chaplain. And I said, ask him if he'd like for our chaplain to go out and just visit with him for a while. And she did. And Art went out a couple days later and came back and said, it went well. And I said, well, we kind of talked about it. And he said, he just wanted me there. And I assured him that his life had been okay. He was good. God was with him. Less than 24 hours later, he died. There's just that approval, that knowing that life has meant something and that you can then let go of your life here on earth and become in the spirit. So that has meant so much, and I have, there's other stories, but that has really has really stayed with me. And when you say, what is my purpose in life? This is what sums it up for me. What if you were told you fulfilled it when you took an extra hour to talk with someone about life, or when you gave extra money to someone in need, or tied your father's shoes for him? The world is not interested in your goal-based achievements. It is interested in your heart. When you choose to act out of kindness, compassion, and love, you are aligned with your true purpose for God. And I think that just really means a lot.
Wow.
Memories are held dear when you get older. So hold them dear no matter what age you are. Because things that make life important, make life worth it.
Thank you, Connie. I have a final question here at the bottom, question number 9, if you want to respond to it in any way. What difference does it make in your life that you are a follower of Jesus the Christ? And why does it matter? If you have some response to that.
Yeah. You know, it started back in my childhood. Not everybody can say that, but I had a family that was very supportive of going to church. We did that. That was our family. And as a child, you go to church, you hear the stories, you sing the songs. It's kind of that routine. We even had Bible school on Thursdays that we were let out of school.
Really?
And went to Bible school in Lindsborg, Kansas.
Wow, that must have been a different time.
I'm not sure that goes there now. But we would go to our own churches then and have Bible school. Yeah. But it started with it, and I told you about Edgar Meyer's Bible stories. That book was given to me as a child by my family. And it reads just like the Bible does. So it says, Genesis, such chapter to such verse. It exactly runs right with the Bible. But there's the stories written for children. I read that book many, many times. It was read to me. We read it together lots of times in our family. The stories were wonderful. And it just gave you some sense of what life was about a little bit. It's different as now being 86. The spiritualness is much different. It's much more of a spiritual value to me now. My faith, my belief. It's quiet. It's personal. And it means so much. But it started from those books, from those days of reading those wonderful stories that I loved as a child, and have now really been able to put them in my heart and soul. And to be able to keep that, I just have to thank all of you, my minister that we've had through the time I've been here at Westminster, and for you, Kale. That support from my church, from my friends, the activities that I have been able to do with all of you and that you've given me has given me a solid ground that there is such a peace. I'm not afraid of death either. And I'm okay with that. I'm just hoping my family can kind of begin to accept that. I've got a lot of family. Dick and I combined, we're married when we were older, but we combined our families with 6 children between us. And those 6 children have now married. And I think at the last count, I have 18 grandchildren. Wow. And 1 great-granddaughter now. And so they have added that family. We've been able to be together and support each other, no matter if it's been 2 families put together as blended, and always letting them know that they had other family members. That was never. And right now I'd like to share, because I think my one stepdaughter and her wife may be listening to this today. She is going to be receiving. She inherited kidney disease from her mother, and she now has a good friend of hers who is coming from Alaska. Her kidney matches. Wow. And she is going to get a new kidney because of her kidney disease. And on the 25th of February, she will be receiving a new kidney to give her life. Oh, wow. And to experience that with my family that's very extended, that has given me such meaning too. So I'm just thinking of her too, and prayers to be with her.
What's her name?
Michelle.
Michelle. Okay. Put her down. Make sure we add her to our
Yes.
prayers here.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Connie. Isn't this wonderful? What a gift.
Oh.
Connie, on behalf of the congregation, I want to thank you for being willing to share part of your faith story. I say how important it is that we say something. We say something to point to what God has done to encourage one another. So I want to thank you. This is not taken for granted.
Yes.
You took some time, you prepared, you and I have visited. So thank you.
Oh, my grandson wanted me, he listened to me last night.
Oh?
My grandson, I gave him this, and he asked me if I would say this one thing.
Okay.
Which I'm going to. It's very short. The only thing more powerful than hate is love. And if you were listening to our football, that came from Bad Bunny. but I think that was a good thing for him to say.
Yeah.
The only thing more powerful than hate is love.
Couldn't have put it better. Couldn't have put it better. Thank you, Connie. So now we are invited to take some moment and to reflect. Your breath prayer is in your bulletin if you want to use that as we enter into a time of prayer. Thanks again.